like to call to order the Health and Human Service Committee meeting of Wednesday, February 1st, 2003, and the time is 3:01. If we could all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If I can get a motion to adopt the agenda.
Romano adopts the agenda.
Support Van Sickle.
Motion and support, please call the roll. Moving on to public participation. At this time, if anyone wishes to speak, you'll get 3 minutes. There'll also be another opportunity at the end of the meeting. So if anyone would like to speak, they can have the podium. Seeing no one interested in speaking today, so we will close public participation and move on to department recommendations, starting with A, budget amendment to Macomb Community Action Children and Family Service Division, Positive Emotional Development and Learning Skills Grant, $35,000. Motion to recommend to full board.
Support Van Sickle.
And support, please call the roll.
Excuse me, I have a question.
Sorry. Commissioner Zinner?
Good afternoon. Linda Azar, Children and Family Services.
I have to get. How many students do you have for this?
So for
program?
the blended option with the Great Start Collaborative, we have 192 slots in 16 classrooms throughout Macomb County. Are we talking about the Petals grant in particular? Oh, this grant covers, right now we're going to include 23 classrooms that are going to get the curriculum, the second step curriculum, which is a social emotional curriculum that addresses trauma, and it basically sets children up for kindergarten readiness. We've done previously, we did 14 classrooms, so this is going to expand its reach for 23 additional classrooms. So that includes coaching supports as well as $1,500 per classroom to include different tools to actually execute the curriculum.
Who will be doing this exactly?
So the teachers actually implement the curriculum, but the Community Foundation of Southeast Michigan provides the coaches to actually help with training and things of that nature and how to use the tools to ensure success. For example, a calming box is something that would be used to address behaviors and things of that nature.
What would they be saying to them? What would they be doing with it?
So it's very interactive. So what you do in some cases, what the coaches are really meant to do is kind of observe to see if the curriculum's being implemented to fidelity. So for example, when a child exhibits behaviors, they may need a break, a walk. You lower your voice. You may crawl down closer to their level. There's different tools that they kind of they're equipped to, we have a lot of needs right now. A lot of our programs include a lot of children with special needs. And so these are professionals in that work that really understand how positive emotional supports, how to basically control emotion, and the tools that the teachers can implement. Because of course, when a child exhibits behaviors, the teachers also can become accelerated. And so the tools to not only calm themselves, but how they interact with the child to calm the child.
What percentage of children are having problems in the classroom?
There's very large numbers. We are required to enroll children with IEPs and IFSPs, so we work with the MISD to ensure those children that have those special needs are addressed. But we also bring in professionals. We have a mental health support, but I'm going to tell you the numbers are high, much higher, post-COVID than usual, because children were at home. Early childhood and Zoom learning doesn't really work. So a lot of children were at home, and a lot of these families come from vulnerable backgrounds. So the fact that we do a family style meal, for example, may not have been happening during COVID. And so some of those things that we do that encourage positive engagement in the classroom were missed during COVID. So I'm going to tell you the numbers are high. So much so that we had to employ a mental health specialist in our program to go out to sites to address specific needs with our families and children.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Zinner. Moving on to item B, budget amendment to Macomb Community Action Children and Family Services Division, MISD, Great Start.
Chair, we have to vote on item E.
Oh, I
Well,
thought
I
we
think
already did.
And
Commissioner,
we have another speaker.
Commissioner Brown is on, too.
Oh, Commissioner Brown.
Yeah, thank you. The 23 classrooms that you said you have set up, is that one for every school district in the county? Is that how are those classrooms
So those
spread
23
out?
classrooms are throughout Macomb County. So we are in most districts. There's probably 4 districts currently. I believe it's Armada, Centerline, Clintondale, and there's one other one that escapes me right now. Other than that, we are in every district in Macomb County. So those classrooms are scattered throughout Macomb County.
Very
With
good.
this funding, we will have addressed this particular curriculum in all of our 38 classrooms in Head Start.
Very good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman.
I think we already voted on this agenda item. No?
Because
We have motion
I had a
support.
question and she answered it. Thank you, Chair.
Call the roll.
Motion passes 11-0.
Moving on to item E, budget amendment to Macomb Community Action Children and Family Service Division, MISD, Great Start Readiness Program for $50,867.99.
Motion moved to full board.
Anyone who wishes to speak on this item? No one wishes to speak, so can we get motion and support? We have motion and support. Please call the roll.
Chair, could we please hear from
Oh.
Linda Azar?
So as you know, we partner with the Macomb Intermediate School District to provide Great Start Readiness Program slots, part-day slots. We have 192 of those slots throughout 16 classrooms. This allows us to receive funding to support full-day options. So in Head Start, we have both part-day and full-day options. With that additional funding, by including those slots in our classrooms, we're able to provide full-day services to those children. Other questions?
Anyone have any questions? Seeing no questions, please call the roll. Moving on to item C, substantial amendment to annual action plan, Macomb Community Action Program Year 2021, HOME-ARP Allocation Plan. You have Mr. Cook here, the director. Can I get a motion?
Motion to refer full board.
Support Van Sickle.
Support. Mr. Cook, if you'd like to give us an overview.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, Commissioners. We have before you a substantial amendment to our annual action plan from the HOME 2021 grant year. This grant is specifically allocated from the Department of Health and Urban Development, Housing and Urban Development, to address the needs of homeless assistance and supportive services. This has been a year-long process of gathering input from a lot of the different homeless providers throughout the county. This application will then go to HUD by March 31st. Over the next several years. It runs through 2030.
Please call the roll. Here, miss item D, budget amendment to Macomb Community Action Community Service Division, MDHHS, Weatherization Deferral, $132,000. Would you like to give us a? Oh, yes, motion. Sorry.
I'll make the motion to refer.
Support.
Motion and support.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a new grant to the agency. It's $132,000, and this is for weatherization deferral. This is to supplement our weatherization program, our traditional Department of Energy program. This money would be used to make homes weatherizable that are not at the moment. Say, for example, we go out to inspect a home to weatherize it. There's a hole in the roof. That would typically be a walkaway or a deferral. Through these funds, we could address that issue and make the home ready for weatherization. $132,000 is not a whole lot of money when when we talk about roof repairs and things like that, but it's more than we had, and it'll help homes that traditionally would not be able to be weatherized to be weatherized.
Do we have any questions?
Chair, I do have a question. Do you have any idea how many homes you'll be weatherizing?
Homes that we'll be weatherizing is a lot bigger question because we have our Department of Energy funds, the bill funds, which is coming up on the agenda next, I believe. We'll be weatherizing hundreds and hundreds of homes over the next several years. This particular money would probably help us weatherize 15 to 20 homes that may not otherwise be eligible for weatherization.
Anyone else wish to speak on this item?
Motion passes 11 to 0. I'm sorry, 12 to 0.
We are moving on to item E, budget amendment to Macomb Community Action Community Service Division, MDHHS, Weatherization, Bipartisan Infrastructure Law.
Motion to move the full board.
Support.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a increase in our allocated budget. The budget is actually $1.7 million. When the budget was created, we did not have a final agreement with the state at the time. We use estimates. This estimate came in a little bit lower than the actual allocation, so we're asking to increase the budget by $165,000. This is part of the weatherization program through the Bipartisan Infrastructure Bill. This will run for the next 5 years and will probably average roughly $1.7 million a year over those 5 years for weatherization services in the county.
Thank you. Any questions?
With the budget amendment, are you just amending the actual amount that's coming in from the state, or are you looking to transfer funds from the general?
Simply an increase, Commissioner.
Commissioner Brown?
Thank you. The contractors that are used to provide these services, how often are those reviewed? And can you explain a little bit about maybe some of the new commissioners? There's a lot of work to be done, and how we go about awarding the contracts to the various contractors that provide the services to the clientele.
Certainly. We do an RFQ, RFP process every 2 years. We utilize the county's purchasing department, utilizing the purchasing ordinance established by the board. We go out every 2 years. We vet the contractors. Because this is highly technical work through the Department of Energy, there's not a lot of people that do this type of work. So we do a great deal of advertising and really encouraging companies to apply and be certified weatherization contractors. Once approved, they're able to receive additional state training in order to address weatherization issues in homes. So to answer your question, every 2 years we go out and we do a RFQ and RFP process.
Where are you at in the cycle? Is that going to be done this year in concurrence with this grant, or is it probably staggered?
We typically do them in April, so if it's not being done this April, it would be done the next April.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Brown, anyone else like to speak on this item? Anyone else? If you would please call the roll.
Motion passes 12 to 0.
Moving on to item F, budget amendment, Macomb Community Action Family Service Division, MDHHS, Deliverable Fuel Grant, $85,000.
Motion to move to full board.
Support.
Motion and support, Mr. Cook.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is our Deliverable Fuel Grant. This grant comes from the state of Michigan. We don't get it every year. During the budget process last year, we did not have a final number or knowing whether we were going to actually get this grant this year or not. Deliverable fuel is primarily used for residents of the county that rely on deliverable fuel such as propane as their primary source, and they're low income, and they have a request in with the Department of Human Services for help. So it's a very small group of people that utilize this type of service. Some years we get it, some years we don't. When we built the budget, we assumed we were going to get it. We typically average about $85,000, so we built that into the budget. It was not offered this year through the state, so we're asking to reduce the budget from $85,000 down to 0.
Commissioner Brown?
I've forgotten about this program. How many people, how many clientele do we have that use propane, or there are some fuel? I mean, I was fuel oil in my house when I was a kid.
And typically, Commissioner, the northern end of the county, we find more people that may use deliverable fuel. And again, it has to be their primary source of fuel, not an alternative or a supplemental, but their primary. To find people that have that, to find of those people that are low income, and of those people that have applied through Department of Human Service for services, it ends up being a very small group. Typically, we would service probably 15 to 20 families a year. Sometimes those funds unused are recaptured and sent to agencies across the state, particularly in the northern part of the state where deliverable fuel tends to be a primary fuel source for the majority of the residents.
But again, how many homes in Macomb County qualify for this program last year?
Qualified through all of that
Yes.
criteria, probably 15 to 20. And we'll work with the fuel providers to try and help identify people who could use a fill-up or have a need for that type of thing. It's just a very hard thing to plug in this day and age. That's less and less of a need, going forward.
Very good, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman.
Thank you, Commissioner Brown. Commissioner Van Sickle?
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon. I don't know a lot about propane in the home as heating, but I do know propane tanks on my gas grill have a life, and they won't be refilled after a certain length of time. So I'm assuming the big tanks that are used at a home also have a life. Can these funds be used to replace a out-of-life tank?
Very good question. The answer to that would be no. It's that we are not allowed to replace tanks. It's only for the actual fuel itself.
Okay, so do we ever run into people who run up against a stop where the delivery service will not deliver because the tank's out of service?
Typically, and it's very limited, experience with this because we don't have a lot of it in the county. We have found that people, when they're selling their house, sometimes that's when they find out that their tank is failing and no longer good anymore. They're told by the health department or whoever is inspecting the tank that it needs to be replaced. At that point, they're in the sale process, and sometimes the sale will hinge on the replacement of that tank. We typically don't carry funds for that type of thing. Again, just keeping it to
I thought you might say, yes, sometimes they run into it, and I was going to ask where they can go for help with the tank. If they're looking for help to fill the tank, I assume they might need help to also replace it.
that would probably have to be through some type of home rehabilitation program or a bank loan, that type of thing.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Perna?
How is this marketed to those families? How do they even know this service?
We will reach out to past customers that we've used before, or serviced before, and we will also work with the service providers, whether it be wood, pellets, propane. We'll work with them on their list of people who have used it in the past. We'll do a mass marketing thing. We'll promote it through social media to try and really get the word out there that this service is available. Well, if they've used that provider before, they would get notified. So we're assuming if it's a very, very first time, somebody's just moved into a house, they have to use that type of fuel, it might be a little more difficult for them until they've used it the first time, and then that provider connects them with the services if they're not in tune and looking for services that are available.
Once they get that service, at almost every year?
Provided the service is available every year, they are eligible to use it every year. It's an annual thing when available.
How do you verify that they don't have this?
We would do that through an intake. We do an income intake on them. We go through the same procedures that, say, the state of Michigan would through the Department of Human Services. We make sure that they're income eligible for the program, qualify under a federal poverty guideline. Say for a family of four, for example, it may be a cap of $38,000 for the home, and that's just a number. You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Cook. Anyone else wish to speak at this time? I see no one else.
Hi, Commissioner.
Yes,
I thought I had my name up there. Maybe I didn't. I'm sorry, if I may.
yes,
Thank you.
Commissioner Romano.
Good afternoon, Acting Director Mr. Cook should be Director Mr. Cook, but anyway, that's another story. Listen, we spoke yesterday, and I ran through these items with you, as I encourage my other commissioners to do. You mentioned that $85,000 was the decrease. Was there anybody or any other counties that just the program totally discontinued?
Some years they offer it, some years they don't, depending on their priorities. A lot of times this comes from the LIHEAP funding, Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program. The state has the ability to allocate those funds as they see fit. In some states, they're automatically earmarked for things like weatherization and things like that. The state of Michigan, the legislature has the ability to completely control. So depending on the legislature, depending on the priorities that year, some years these funds are available for that, some years they may not be. This was one of those years where it wasn't.
Did anybody inquire what happens to the money that's sitting there that nobody's using because they haven't allocated it? I mean,
It's allocated to something. It depends on what the priorities for that year. It could be for direct assistance for DHS families. It could be for heating, any number of different things.
that's all I have. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Romano. Anyone else wish to speak at this time? Please call the roll.
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Moving on to our second hearing of the public for public participation, if anyone wishes to be heard at this time. Seeing no one, we'll close public participation and move on to commissioner comments. Do any commissioners wish to speak at this time? No one?
There's a list.
Okay. Commissioner Romano?
Thank you. Just on a side note, I had the pleasure, maybe the displeasure, no, actually it was a pleasure speaking to our prior commissioner and now Senator Veronica Kleinfeld, and she wanted to wish everybody a Happy New Year, and says that she misses us all, and she's doing great up in Lansing, and she answered her phone when I called by saying, "You realize now that I have a real job." So I just, she's putting in 12 hours a day, and I'm sure she's doing a great job for us. That's all. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner Romano. Commissioner Ha?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for that update, Joe. We really appreciated hearing that.
My pleasure.
I wanted to congratulate you on chairing your first meeting of Health and Human Services. You did a great job. Thank you.
Commissioner Zinner?
Oh, I was going to say, I was curious what a broken tank or replacing a tank would cost. And a cost would be around $1,200, or people could lease one just smaller than the regular other size for $75 to $100 a month. I just had no idea for people who use those tanks, because I know the propane is expensive as it is. I know the realtors know about it, but.
Thank you. Commissioner Zong?
Thank you, Chair. I would like to wish everybody a happy Lunar New Year. It's the year of the rabbit, and wish all of you guys prosperity and wealth this year. Last week, I had the honor of attending the Lunar New Year reception at the White House. So I do apologize that I wasn't here to join you guys for full board, but you know, when you get a call from the president, it's hard to say no. So just wanted to share with you guys that it was a very exciting reception, and I was very, very proud to represent my district, Warren, and also Macomb County as well. So just wanted to share that with all of you. And again, happy Lunar New Year.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
So really quick, I just want to say thank you to all of you guys for being patient with me today as I chaired the first meeting. So thank you very much, and thank you, Mr. Hall, for your help and assistance. And that's all I have. Oh, yes. I see you up now.
Thank you, Phil. So I just wanted to let you all know about some events that are coming up. On the 18th, we are having a vendor fair, a vendor resource fair. This is to acknowledge the small businesses ran by our Black people in Macomb County. It is a Black Excellence vendor fair. And we will have resources also from the health department will be there. The mental health department will be there, and I will give a flyer so it can be posted and emailed out to everyone. I'm just hoping that, you know, you could pass the word around. It will be held in Warren, and I had the name of the place in my head, and now it left. But I will have that information for you. So that is the 18th. And then I think so far we have about 30 small businesses registered. So it should be a great event. Just to support these small businesses would be wonderful. And so the vendor resource fair, and then we will be having a hair show in the same place, which will be very exciting. We have 3 local hairstylists, all from East Point. So they will be there styling their clients and putting on a show. And then on the 25th at nope, don't have the place. But the 25th will be our Black Excellence Gala. Dinner will be served. There will be awards given out to those in Macomb County that have shown just excellence to the county and to the people around us. And then there will be, the dance floor will open up. So if you don't know how to hustle, you will learn how to hustle. And just the open dance floor and food, which is great. And we have a local small business baker that will be providing desserts there as well. So I will get that information out, but I did want to give you a heads up that all of that will be happening, and I am on the board for that. So I would really, really love any type of participation from you all. I know Commissioner Song came to the gala last year, and I assume she had a great time. I would say she had a great time, but I don't want to put words in her mouth. So, but that's it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Commissioner Wallace. Anyone else wish to speak at this time? Seeing no one, if we can please get a call for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Support center.
You have to ask.
Please vote.
Please.
Oh, we have to vote.
All right. Meeting
done.
adjourned at
Well done, Joe.
3:28.
How about that?